Today we are in Downey, California at the oldest existing McDonald's still in operation. Now ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to stick around until later in this video because this McDonald's was almost torn down. And I'm going to share the incredible story of how it was able to maintain its vintage look. Now this is not meant to be a full McDonald's history video. We do need to dip ourselves into the McHistory sauce just so we can get to the oldest existing McDonald's still in operation. But in the future, if anybody would like a full-on history of McDonald's, a supersized history lesson, if you will, leave a comment down below, and if there's enough demand, I will do one in the future. Having said that, let's get to it. Now this is the third McDonald's to open on August 18th, 1953, 16 years after the original McDonald's opened by the McDonald brothers. The very first McDonald opened up in Monrovia, California in 1937. And interestingly enough, it was not a hamburger restaurant. It was a barbecue restaurant. And it was called Airdrome. That restaurant was eventually moved to San Bernardino, California, and eventually turned into the McDonald's as we know it today. But because we're not going that deep into history, we're gonna pass up, move forward to the first franchisee, which sounds like cheesy, was Neil Fox, that opened the McDonald's restaurant, which opened in Phoenix, Arizona, and was the first to use McDonald's golden arches, which later would become the standardized look for all McDonald's. It too has closed its doors permanently, leaving the third McDonald's to open. This McDonald's here, the oldest McDonald's in the world. In 1961, a man by the name of Ray Kroc purchased the McDonald chain from the McDonald brothers for a couple $1 million. The McDonald franchise decided to make all other McDonald's to take on the same design as all other modern McDonald's. That included this McDonald's here. This McDonald's as well was supposed to take on the new look of the McDonald franchise. But the reason why that was not possible to change this McDonald's to look like all the other McDonald's was because this McDonald's here was under a different contract. It was actually under a contract from the McDonald brothers. And because of that, it maintained its look from the time it was open. It had its own problems because it was under that contract. It was not allowed to take on any new product that McDonald came out with. So around the 1970s, it started really struggling. It didn't have the Big Mac people. So if you came here in the early days after the Big Mac was released, you came here, sorry. So it looked like some people were walking away not loving it. And if you wanted a Big Mac back then, this is how it would go. Yeah, can I get a Big Mac, please? Hello? Can I get a Big Mac, please? Why are they just standing there looking off into space? What's going on? Ba 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 ba. So the lack of items such as the Big Mac and anything else that came out from the McDonald franchise, and also a new McDonald's opening up just a couple miles down the road in the mid-70s, made this spot really suffer. Now because of the poor sales and the new McDonald's opening just blocks away from this McDonald's here, this McDonald's was finally acquired by the McDonald's Corporation in 1990. And at that time, this was the only McDonald's that was independent from the franchise. And because it did not take on the look of the other McDonald's, and also some major damage from an earthquake, the McDonald's Corporation decided to tear this building down in 1994. But wait a minute, McDonald's franchise, not so fast, because the National Trust for Historic Preservation and a backlash from the community, this place was saved. It now remains open and it looks exactly like it did when it first opened. Also, this place has a museum that anybody can come here and go through for free. And before this guy, there was Speedy. And let us not forget Mac Tonight. Can anybody tell me why Matt tonight is in an isolation chamber?
That's because I came here to take over this company, but they caught on to me and threw me in this isolation chamber.
This is why these employees look so disgruntled. They're in McDonald's jail. Actually, the truth is these mannequins here are wearing the old McDonald uniform. So that's what these things are on display for. Does anybody remember the McDLT? So they would put the lettuce and tomato on this side and put the hamburger on this side to keep everything fresh. Do you remember that? Now this is a character I've never seen before. It seems to be some kind of weird pirate character that maybe he looks like his eyeballs are under a spell of some sort. This is weird. I never knew about this guy. So they have a history of McDonald's Corporation logos right here. And it's really interesting that the different changes that many, before everything kind of came together, all the different logos they had. Now when you look into a clown's eye, you can see sadness. Now the uniqueness of this McDonald's is they actually have walk-up windows and you order right here, and then if you so desire, you can go over here. This is where you can eat, kind of an indoor area. That's also part of the museum, so it kind of works as the dining room and museum. And if you're not into a walk-up window or sitting in a dining room, no worries, people, never worry. McDonald's has got you covered. They do have a drive-through here too. I don't know about you, but I really like this style. And in fact, I really like the fact that the arches, the golden arches here, kind of line up into an M if you stand in the proper area. This guy's smile and wink these days probably gets you in trouble. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like a clown at the end of the show, I must go home and cry myself to sleep. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I know you're gonna enjoy this video over here. It also is one of the first of its kind, Venus Schnitzel. So, if you like this video, go check out this video. And please, folks, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you later. Ba 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 ba.